A warning. This is a potluck Thursday, and we gonna get evil. And another warning to a few certain people that just love talking shit about me. Say what you want about me, but you spoke ill of my family. And once I find you, my foot legally is gonna be in your ass. Period. Let's roll.
I can't do it. We'll do it live. Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
Mister, will you please wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up?
Good morning! Snowman here to all you Brock Purdy and San Francisco 49er haters. Shut up! I gotta thank you, Shane.
I mean, whatever happened to the games where breaking 100 points was, I don't know, unusual?
There was one word to sum up the All-Star weekend.
Trays. Cause we take this job so serious.
Splash Brothers, yes. Ray Allen, replace him with Steve Kerr. Reggie Miller, yeah.
What in the all types of blue hell?
Oh yeah! Back. Why are you laughing hysterically, sir?
That evil fucking genius.
Why are you surprised?
It gets me every time, those fucking bronze seals, dude. I'm telling you, every time.
I got some shit to say about those motherfuckers. Let's roll. Good morning. Welcome to the Tripped Out Potluck Thursday edition of Snowman in the Morning. Glad to have y'all with us. Now, as I said on Tuesday, the only time you will not hear us use any bad words is when our guests are here. And we have two of them this morning. Chris Dietz returns to talk the disaster of the college football playoff. And then Kyle Senra at the bottom of hour 2 discussing his top 10 fantasy running backs. Yes, we're going to add the fantasy football expert to the show, especially now since a lot of football talk has cranked up. The big dog Shane Lake joins me. How are you, my friend?
Good thing we're adding the fantasy football because my teams have fucking sucked lately. No joke.
And speaking of fantasy football, the man they call Droid is with us. How are you, brother?
I'm pretty good, honestly. You know, loaded up NHL this morning and realized, man, do I love myself some hockey? But you know what else I love? I love me some damn football.
Good. And, of course, Victor Locke joins us from our world headquarters in Chicago. How are you, man?
I'm doing all right. Just had to look at my explanation of benefits, make sure I got my health insurance because I'll probably be needing that once the NFL season starts to turn over.
Therapy is going to be early and often for both of us.
You know what? Victor, you're not the first person to say that to me, and you won't be the last person to say that to me. You know who the first person was to say it to me for this year?
Who?
I married her.
I
married her. Matter of fact, y'all know Jody is a big-time football fan. Of course, she's a Colts fan.
Indianapolis Colts.
The Indianapolis Colts. And Matt Taylor will join me tomorrow as we're going to go 4 hours tomorrow. Matt Taylor will join me at the top of the 1 o'clock hour. You know what? My wife, I love her dearly. I will never stop bragging about her to you fuckers that love to tell me you shouldn't talk about her. Eat me. All right? But when Jody looks at me and says, "Baby, I may need some therapy from you for my Colts."
Yep.
I mean, everyone's gonna have some worries about their team. I don't think anyone's gonna have more worries than me. But speaking
No,
of
the only reason you
you
were
or
is because
Jay.
you know we about to rip into you this season.
it's
Yeah.
every season with me.
Wait a minute. Y'all remember when we were predicted scores? We may have to
Yeah.
do it again. We may have to do it again.
Were you actually going to take it serious?
No.
Of course, y'all.
Listen. Me and Rod Peterson had a great conversation yesterday, and a shout out to my boy Rod Peterson and the Rod Peterson Show. Go check him out.
Now, I know this
Every
is
time I have a conversation with Rod, we wind up laughing.
I know this is a redundant question.
Yes, sir.
But are you at any at all worried about this? I don't know if it's a rumor. I don't know if it's news about Mr. Ayuk wanting to leave Santa Clara.
He ain't leaving.
You know he's leaving? That's a redundant question.
Think Debo Samuel 4 years ago.
Yeah, true.
Oh no, Ayuk can't. But here's the thing: the difference between Ayuk and Debo was that Debo didn't hint at it during the offseason right after losing the Super Bowl.
True.
Ayuk did.
Ayuk did. I don't think Ayuk's not leaving.
I think you should hope Ayuk leaves. He's too immature. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And you know what I thought about? I thought about that too. I'd love to have him stay, but Ricky Pearsall's going to take his spot. I am saying this out loud. Philip Redden is our first commenter. He joins us. Woo! To you too, my friend. Thanks for coming aboard. Okay. Everybody saw the thumbnail. Everybody knows what's going on. But for those of you that are just catching up to our crazy asses, here it is. There was a list that was released on Tuesday of the top 10 quarterbacks according to NFL executives.
Oh no.
Victor, you already know where I'm going.
Oh no.
Okay, here's my question: how high did they put Dak, and why is he at like 5?
Let me pull this up because I inadvertently closed the window. Because there are a couple of a couple of names that were on here that I didn't expect to be on here. Let me find this another way, because my friend Dre, who is actually out in the Bay Area, and if you haven't had a chance to check out Dre, DRE Area Sports, please do. Okay. Where's that fucking list? Here it is. NFL quarterback power rankings. I think this is the list. Oh, I take that back. I take that back. Let me look at this one. Let's analyze this one first. I'm on CBS. No, I'll come back to this one. They rank this list that I'm desperately trying to find, according to NFL executives, rank their top 10 quarterbacks, and all I got to say is, guess who's missing?
Purdy.
I don't know. Is it that quarterback in Santa Clara, the one who's been taking the NFL by storm?
You used to attend Iowa State. Where's 1-3?
Yep.
Just won the NFC Championship not even a year ago.
Just completed.
Was named Mr. Irrelevant
by so many. Was named a system quarterback,
and is still named such.
And also was named to be sitting behind Trey Lance all season.
All people, Trey Lance.
Of all quarterbacks, fucking Trey Lance. The fuck's up with that shit?
Wow.
And now where's Trey Lance? Oh, he's just down south in Dallas.
He's in Dallas.
Suffering.
Standing behind Dak.
Suffering.
But out of every, I'm gonna be honest. While Brian's finding that list, there is one Cowboys rookie I'm actually excited to see.
And that is
Cooper Beebe, K-State.
Mm.
Is that Don Beebe's baby boy?
Yes, sir.
I thought so.
I actually got to meet Cooper in person. That was sick at the Royals game.
I might have to cover K-State games and have you join me. Okay.
I'm not a K-State fan. I'm a Jayhawks fan.
You're a Jayhawk fan.
Can't afford that. Can't afford that, Brian.
And I'll flip that. Then I'll flip that statement. We'll do some KU. We'll do some KU games.
Well, let's do the ones that are at Arrowhead. Because remember, with the new stadium being built, they're going to be playing games in Arrowhead.
At Arrowhead, same right. So we'll do that, and I'll do the same for my Northwestern Wildcats. Here is oh, here it is. Okay, I found it.
Okay. So why is Purdy off the list, and why is Matthew Stafford higher than Purdy?
Why is Matthew Stafford on the goddamn list?
At all.
Why is Dak Prescott on the goddamn list?
Because of a good old word called glazing.
I was going to say Benjamins, but that's another one.
Look.
I think glazing is more
to the moronic republic of Cowboy Nation. Dak Prescott ain't worth the money.
No, nope. Not even close.
Dak Prescott is a bitch. He is not worth the fucking money.
There's a huge joke I could pull right now in regards to Dak Prescott choking away in the playoffs, but we've already said pretty much everything that has to be said when it comes to that.
No. I got something to say. The Dallas Cowboys are comparable to the Boston Bruins. They choke.
Fuck off.
Let's put it this way: Dak has choked so many. Dak has lose so many games.
Okay, wait a minute. Found it. Okay, and you know who's on this list? Okay. You ready for this?
Try us.
Aaron fucking Rodgers.
Oh my God.
What?
I mean, are you surprised?
If
really?
I'm lying, I'm flying. And my ass is planted in this beautiful office chair my wife got me.
A dude who had his ankle blown apart 4 plays into the season.
And we'll have the rest of them blown apart 4 plays into this coming season on Monday Night Football.
Is on a list that doesn't have Brock Purdy on.
Yep.
Who's smoking what crack?
Listen, we all heard the comments.
Damn.
We all heard the discussion, if you want to call it that. We all heard a man who likes to call himself Shay Shay, God help us.
Oh, gosh, Shay Shay.
Tell me how that fucker gets an instant following on his platform.
Because he's Shannon Sharp. Look,
exactly.
You can say,
tell me how the fuck. Listen, tell me how to. And Philip, I want you to answer this question because we're in the same content creating chat circles with Charles Faulkner and BGS and Bitter Truth Show who comes on, and I do Villainous Sports News for him, and Louis Conyer and the rest of the you know the guys that we hang with because y'all hung with me when they're here on the show with us. Tell me how some of these fuckers, and I take off the list the people who I name because they actually create authentic content, get the following in the blink of an eye. I put Shannon Sharp on that. I put list. I put Stephen A. Smith on that list, but I can take them off that list too because there's too many. Never mind. How come they get the following and we can't? Because we actually put out true content on this bitch.
Well, I'll tell you why. For one, talk
to me.
The thing is, Shannon Sharp is Shannon Sharp.
Yeah, true.
We could talk about everything. Shannon Sharp is a Hall of Famer.
Okay.
a
Argument
top tier
over.
tight end. So
Okay. Argument over.
now
Argument
Stephen A is a bit of a different case because
Okay, I found. Let me interrupt that. I found it. I found the list. According to Justin Fowler of ESPN, I think that's his first name. I believe that's his first name. I'll find a correction later. From 10 to 1. Y'all ready?
Mm-hmm.
At
Number
10, Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
Number 9, Jared Goff.
Okay. Debatable, but okay.
I could see that.
Number 8, Aaron fucking Rodgers.
What?
Well, okay.
You heard me. Aaron fucking Rodgers. Ryan McCarthy, Good Day Snow Crew. Great appearance on the RP show yesterday by Snowman. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you. I love you for that. Thank you. Philip Burton says, plus Shannon Sharp has always been mouthy. Yep, and you can hear the southern twang come out of him with every word. You know, of course, Shannon Sharp played.
But the thing we can agree about with like Shannon is that he's way better off without Skip.
You're not wrong.
Shannon Sharp.
Better
Let me say this. I've said this before, and I will say it again, and it's finally coming to fruition. Shannon Sharp and Stephen A are much better on an independent platform because they already got the money the dirty money they needed. And I'm not talking about the money they earned. I'm talking about the money they got from the networks.
From the 4-letter network.
To keep them quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Lists are subjective. We are getting riled up. Why? Let me explain in a minute. At 8 is Aaron fucking Rodgers. No comment. CJ Stroud is 7, and that's a false statement. He should be higher.
I would say
CJ Stroud is literally the next quarterback.
He is.
CJ needs to at least be top 5.
Yeah, I would say 5.
Y'all want a fantasy Super Bowl? CJ Stroud and Brock Purdy.
Oh, hell no. Unless he signs to the Chiefs, hell no.
But let me finish. At 6, dear God.
Oh no.
Justin Herbert.
Oh. Okay. I will say he kinda is better than most of the quarterbacks because most of the good quarterbacks are in the AFC.
True.
I think if San Diego can coach him better, oh my God, Justin Herbert could be generational. But with current coaching in San Diego, no.
We'll have to see what Jim Harbaugh brings to the San Diego Chargers. At 5, and I know I'm going to hear a ton of laughter when I say this name, Matthew Stafford.
We're having a laugh, right?
I wish I was making this up.
And the thing is, there's already a name missing, but we'll continue.
We'll continue.
But besides Purdy, there's another name missing. But we'll continue.
You ready? Y'all ready? At 4, Shane, you about to laugh again.
Oh, no.
Lamar Jackson.
No, I can see that. I can see that though.
Yeah, I'll agree with Victor. I can see that.
At 3 is Josh Allen.
Okay.
No,
Lamar Jackson. I'm gonna be honest.
No.
Like the Bills, like this. They said the Bills. They said that Josh Allen would retire tomorrow if it meant the Bills won this year. And I'm like, yeah, because the Bills won't win anything with you.
Josh Allen over Lamar Jackson. You gotta
wait.
What type of bullshit?
I got the perfect answer.
Okay.
Hell no. To the no, no, no. Hell to the no. Hell to the no. To the no, no, no.
Oh, good to see you again, Bishop Bullwinkle.
Rising Rhino and Darian Hopkins in the house with us.
In the words of the fat duck from that Fudd fight, absolutely
If Jackson and Allen are down there, who's number 2? Because we all know who the true number 1 is.
I'll tell you who number 2 is in a moment. You know, I gotta say that when I came out of ICU 2 years ago, and someone asked me about Josh Allen, I said a sentence that is not only turning out to be incorrect, but was drug induced. And I'm talking about the insulin, the hydrocortisone, and all the other medicines that I had to take at the time. I stupidly compared Josh Allen to the legendary Jim Kelly.
Why'd you do that?
What the fuck was I thinking?
I don't know.
Well, we know what the hell you were on.
What the actual fuck was I thinking? I was glassy-eyed. No, Josh Allen, I will never compare you to Jim Kelly ever again. Here's number 2. And when I say number 2, I'm going to hear a lot of loud, sickening thuds.
Okay.
Joe Burrow.
You don't even have to finish the name.
That's not number 2. I get his value. I get his value with the Bengals, but
you want to fix this list? You kick Joe Burrow off this motherfucker, and you put number 13 there.
No, you put him number 8. Put number 8, and you kick off.
Yeah, flip. Okay, kick Aaron Rodgers off the list. You put Joe Burrow at 8, and then Brock Purdy at 2. We all know who number 1 is.
Yeah, that's.
We all know. We don't even have to say who number 1 is.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's King Patrick.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I said King Patrick. Fuck you,
Mahomes.
Tom Brady. I said King Patrick.
Mr. Mahomes.
Yes, sir. But
So,
there's a reason.
The homie himself.
I would kick Aaron Rodgers off the list because he ain't worth shit.
To the NFL Cup with you.
I did. Fuck the NFL Cup.
I was
We need him to still make those shirts.
Listen, take your ass to the Pat McAfee NFL Cup.
Honestly, I was waiting for 2 days to come
make
up.
sure the Wyatt Smiths don't get anywhere near
I'm
him.
sorry, Snowman. I love you, but I can't take Pat McAfee slander when he's the only one promoting hockey on the 4-letter app.
You're true. You're true. You're true. I did that as a joke anyway. I love Pat McAfee.
You know, I'm gonna say this.
I love Pat McAfee on the program.
If Aaron Rodgers goes to the Pat McAfee NFL Cup, let's just hope the Wyatt 6 get to him because there's no chance he's surviving.
Look,
yeah.
I was waiting for 2 names to come up because usually these lists are so dumb that I thought one of these 2 names is going to come up, and they're both from Pittsburgh. Russell Wilson or Justin Fields.
You know how many lists I read throughout last season that contained Justin Fields? You know how many sentences that I read last year alone containing Justin Fields and top 10 quarterback?
Mm-hmm.
Most of that was the Midwest Republic of Bear idiocy. We all know that. And I've seen even more idiocy. Speaking of Bears, when I was on Rod Peterson's show yesterday, you know, he brought up the subject, Rod did, of one Caleb Williams.
Of course.
And all throughout my perusal of social media,
mm-hmm.
Don't you know
I
how
see the same. I see the same goddamn sentences.
And they are?
It contains Caleb Williams and top 10 quarterback.
Let the man.
And I think to myself, and this is the last show where y'all will hear us cuss like this because we're getting reorganized for season 11. I think to myself, are you out of your fucking mind?
I was about to say, what? It ain't a wonderful world when it comes to him.
You know what Rob Peterson did for me this morning?
What at?
He sent me a picture, which I'm going to download and promote the hell out of. And as I said, if y'all hadn't had a chance to check out the RP show, I suggest you do. It is a fabulous 2-hour program.
Yeah, it is.
He took a picture of Caleb Williams, inserted my face, like right near the bottom where you put the caption, and 4 words that I said yesterday, quote, wasted pick, wasted money, close quote.
Nice.
And y'all know my next 3 words. Find the lie.
Ain't one to be found, man.
I'm just say this: let him play. We'll see what happens. Let him play. Let's see what happens.
Okay.
So I'm not gonna be projecting what this unknown rookie is going to do. We don't know.
Yeah,
We
true.
said the same thing about CJ Stroud, and look what happened.
But CJ Stroud's different. CJ Stroud can actually play the position.
We don't.
I had my bias against CJ Stroud because he came from Ohio State. And he fell, but two things. A, CJ Stroud's now with the right team and coach.
Yep.
Okay. Secondly, the Texans got rid of the old regime. They got a new regime in that actually wants to build a goddamn football team. Take note, Chicago Bears. And built around their star. Same thing the Colts are doing with Anthony Richardson. Same thing the 49ers are doing with Brock Purdy. The Chiefs have, the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, okay? As soon as Patrick Mahomes was named the starter, everybody in Kansas City was like, okay, get him some weapons. He's the face.
Boy, did they ever get him some weapons.
Yeah.
I'll make a comparison.
Even without weapons, Mahomes is a star.
Exactly. Listen, I will make this comparison between two championship football franchises. Patrick Mahomes is getting the help in Kansas City the same way Joe Montana was getting it in San Francisco.
Okay.
And to think Montana was a 3rd round pick.
Right.
Somebody just texted me and asked, what's the brew? The brew is iced coffee, and it's Colombian with Irish cream and chocolate caramel cream. So y'all know I'm going to crash later.
Yeah, we all know you're going to be fired up next 90 minutes.
Yeah, I am. 32 after the hour. We got the big dog. We got Joy, Victor Line joining yours truly, the snowman. To answer that question, there were a few things yesterday that I needed to handle, including physical therapy, and my emotions were out of control. The guys can tell you my emotions were stupid yesterday.
Yep.
Because somebody opened their mouth, and when I find them, I'm going to put my foot in it. But that's later.
That's a later time, later date. We got more important shit to deal with today.
That's for them.
Here's the
that's for a diary.
Here's a question that I asked the guys in a group text message. The same question was repeated to me by my friend Garrick in Chicago. And we had talked about this in pre-show. Flat out said, in terms of a basketball standpoint, who's a bigger bitch, Bronny or Ben Simmons?
Bronny.
Ben Simmons.
I'm saying Ben. Yeah, I was going there. I'm saying Ben.
I'm saying Ben Simmons.
I'm going to say Ben Simmons for one reason. At least Bronny's actually out on the fucking court.
Exactly.
And Bronny is actually working to get better.
Yeah.
Okay. I will listen, y'all. I have been on Bronny's neck since he got drafted, or since he got accepted at USC. Do I still think it's nepotism in Los Angeles? Fuck yes. Because there were a couple of players that should have been drafted instead of Bronny. But given the fact that this has nothing to do with Bronny getting himself in this situation, and we all know who started this shit, I want to see the young man succeed. Yeah, I want him to succeed just like Lonzo Ball did, not because of his father, but in spite
of him,
of everything that he's doing.
Because LeVar Ball has been acting as a clown for a long ass time.
LeVar Ball, you a bitch.
Yep.
We may as well break that list out too.
Oh God.
Back in March, and Jody heard this. Okay. Jody, oh my God, I love this woman. I love this woman dearly. Now, y'all know if I bring Jody into the conversation, and she not only said something stupid that had me in a fit of giggles, but posed a question to me that was so stupid it had me in a fit of giggles. But it makes you think, okay? March 25th of this year, I began the show by saying, James Harden, you a bitch.
Right.
Find a lie.
Which he is.
Jody said, who else is on the list? Jody said that to me that night. So, honey, in answer to your question, we're going to answer it live right now.
Okay.
With
We
our
actually
list.
got a list of bitches.
Listen, here's how we're going to do it. Android, I want you involved in this too. Doesn't matter what the sport is. Okay? And we're talking the combined, we got decades and decades and decades and decades and decades of watching sports.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
This is gonna be a fucking long list.
Ladies and gentlemen,
This is gonna be a 4-part list. All right. What you have to do. And I want the chat lit the fuck up in on this. Okay. Here's how it goes. You say the player's name, and then you add "you a bitch" at the end of it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we present the bitch list, powered by Hofax.
Wait a minute. Wait. Where is it? Victor, do it again.
Ladies and gentlemen, Snowman in the Morning presents the bitch list, powered by Hofax. Before she hoe and you get
LJPN is sponsored by Hofax. Before she hoe and you gotta know, tell her to show me the Hofax.
There you go. You forgot about that one, Shane, didn't you?
No, I just was waiting for the timing for it to be brought out.
Speaking of timing,
this moment of bronze sexual stupidity is brought to you by Hooked on Bronix. When you start talking like an idiotic bronze sexual, Hooked on Bronix can set you right. Call 1-800-YO-KANG. Real LJPN, now approve all this.
okay, here we go. James Harden, you a bitch.
Ben Simmons, you a bitch.
Zion Williams, you big bitch.
Joel Embiid, you bitch.
Now, this is any sport, right?
Yes.
Antonio Clown, you a bitch.
Dak Prescott, you a underperforming bitch.
Oh, who can I throw under the bus in motorsports?
After that 5 overtime non-classic.
NASCAR officials, y'all a bunch of bitches.
Damn.
Cam Yapalot Newton, you a bitch.
Thank you. Russell Westbrook, you a bitch.
Pittsburgh Steelers front office for trading to get 2 dumbasses for quarterbacks. Y'all some dumb bitches.
Kyrita Pinkett Smith, otherwise known as Kyrie Irving, you a prima donna bitch.
Klay Thompson for going to Dallas to be with those prima donnas. You a dumb bitch.
I still love Klay Thompson though.
Making it
Yeah, I love him, but he's a bitch for doing it.
I agree.
The same mistake that Kevin Durant did.
Speaking of Dallas Mavericks, and I know I'm gonna get flack for saying this, but I don't care. Luka Doncic, you a bitch.
Wrong person. Kyrie Irving, you a bitch.
We did Herbal Tea.
No, here's one for Victor. CD Lamb, you a bitch.
Ooh. CD Lamb is like the only thing we got right now.
But he's still a bitch.
Brad Marchand, you a bitch.
Oh, you bastard.
Oh, here's one. Here's one from the old days.
All
Terry
right.
Glenn, you a bitch.
You
The
And
Chargers front office for moving from San Diego to L.A. You some bitches.
And Snowman knows why I brought up that name.
Yes, indeed I do. Indeed I do, and indeed I remember it. Here you go. Speaking of which, oh fuck, I forgot the name. Fuck.
Which one?
No, I didn't. Ezekiel Elliott, you a bitch.
Damn.
The Philadelphia Eagles front office for misusing DeAndre Swift. You some bitches.
Nick Sirianni. For not only misusing DeAndre Swift, but then getting Jalen Hurts hurt. You a bitch.
Eric Lindros. You a bitch.
Tom Brady. You a bitch.
Michael McDaniel for not doing the right thing and keeping Tua off the field. You a bitch.
Pennywise the
stay there.
dancing clown. You a bitch.
I'll stay there. Tua Tagovailoa, you're underdeveloped, and you a bitch.
Kyle Shanahan for forgetting the overtime rules.
Oh,
You a bitch.
Oh,
No lies. And this is from a 49er fan. No lies. I cannot argue.
Anthony Davis.
Remember, y'all sat here and called the Super Bowl with me.
Yep.
Yes,
And that was our point of discussion. We had like 6 different points of discussion during that live stream during the post-game show. Guess which one we stayed on for the entire 90 minutes while laughing our asses off?
True.
Tepper.
Gerald Jones. You a geriatric bitch. Go take Robert Kraft and go to Florida.
Oh, damn.
For what you have reduced the Carolina Panthers to, you a bitch.
You know what? To the Chicago Bears front office organization, my first statement is and shall remain, and I don't care who talks to me, you mortgaged your entire future for DJ Moore. And for that, y'all some bitches. Oh, and don't expect Caleb Williams to throw for 3,000 yards this year.
Oh, who else can we throw on the bitch list? Because it's starting to fill up like a black book.
Ooh.
If it's not full already.
Jordan Bennington, you a bitch.
Deshaun Watson, no, change that. The entire city of Cleveland, Ohio, y'all some bitches.
When Victor was with me when I did the Brian and Rich show, and we had this thing called name tags. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Brett Hill, one of my dearest friends, said this sentence, and I quote, I am the city of Detroit, and at least we ain't Cleveland.
Yep.
Ouch. To the Cleveland Guardians.
We were laughing for 10 minutes. We were laughing for all of us, including Liz, were laughing for 10 minutes.
To the Cleveland Guardians and Washington Commanders front offices for bending to the PC stupidity of the world. Y'all some bitches.
Because it will forever for me be the Washington Redskins and the Cleveland Indians. Let's go there for a minute while we wait. We got Kyle Senra coming at the bottom of the hour. Why don't we do this? Since everybody wants to be PC and every sports organization wants the names to be PC, I'm going to piss people off by not being PC.
When the hell we ever been PC around this bitch?
I haven't been PC on this show for 10 years.
Right.
Hey, we're coming up on 11.
Labor Day. Labor Day, we'll have all the pieces in place. There will be no swearing, or my wife will whoop my ass. And there's a couple of radio stations out west that want this show.
You'll get
So
at you.
Hell yeah, let's get it.
beginning Monday, after I recover from my half-drunken stupor celebrating my birthday, beginning Monday, we'll start shaping everything up and putting the final pieces together, because everything will be ready by Labor Day when we launch television and radio. It will truly be a simulcast. And there's four stations of my own that I am relaunching. You guys know one of them now, WJKS out of Indy. We got WSBS out of Chicago. That's going to launch, and then we got a couple of other stations we're going to launch. No, let me change that, and let's do this instead. So the WNBA dropped their list of competitors for the 3-point shooting contest.
And they are.
I didn't bring up the list in time. Fuck you, Victor. Damn it. It's for the WNBA All-Star Game, which will be Saturday in Phoenix, Arizona. All right. Here's the list. Friday, Saturday. Okay. Here's the 3-point contest. Stephanie Dolson from the Washington Mystics. Alicia Gray from the Atlanta Dream. Jonquel Jones from the New York Liberty. Marina Mabry, formerly of the Chicago Sky, but now traded to the Connecticut Sun. And now the Sky gets stronger with their younger players. And last but not least, Kayla McBride from the Minnesota Lynx. Okay. Here's where give me this, motherfucker. Here's where old Snowman goes in, and I get a little help in the process. All right, goddammit. There are 2 names on this list that are missing.
I think you and I have the same 2 names in our head.
The first one is Sabrina Ionescu.
Yeah, that's
from the New York.
That's why I was like, wait a minute.
That's where I was going with the first one.
I was like, where's Sabrina Ionescu? Like, did she not just have a shootout with Steph Curry?
With Stephen Curry. Yep. And
what's happening here?
As I said during a wonderful morning show called The Morning Shift with our brother in arms, Cole Johnson.
Damn good show.
My comment was
all EPs.
The EP of all EPs. And folks, go check out The Morning Shift with Cole Johnson. It is fabulous, and it's a great start to your day. I think I like the time we have here.
Yeah, it's solid.
We ain't gotta compete with the big boys. We are the big boys, god damn it. Sabrina Ionescu is missing off this list. And I want to know why. I want to know why you don't invite one of the sharpest of the sharpshooters to a 3-point competition at the WNBA All-Star Game. Why? Why don't you do that?
It's a mistake. This is a
mistake.
It's a blown move for the WNBA because not only is Sabrina not on this.
Oh, let me introduce it, because everyone knows the second name that should be on this list if they just do the smart thing and expand the competition. Because there are 5 names here. Okay. Why can't you easily make it 8? Because the other name you need to put on here, of course, is Caitlin Clark.
I mean,
and I'm going to say a statement, and I don't think the fellas are going to find a lie. Not only is Caitlin Clark the unanimous Rookie of the Year, she's the reason arenas are selling out.
I mean,
Period.
We've seen that.
All y'all.
But I mean, I'm just
Not wrong.
this. I was looking at this. You got Sabrina Ionescu, who, like I said, just had a monumental shootout against one Wardell Stephen Curry. Okay. You just had that, and she nearly came to beating him.
That last rack saved Steph.
That last rack saved Steph.
The last rack, the money ball rack saved Steph. All right.
Like I said, the corners are the hardest threes to hit.
Yeah,
They are.
They are.
But I mean, you don't even think to reach out to her?
I just want to know why the fuck did they not reach out to? Oh God.
This right here is a blown move.
It is.
I'm sorry, but this is some bull, man.
You know, there's a lot more I could say, but then it would just be repeating points. So let me just say that's Snowman's take. What is yours? $52 after the hour, and we finally get to welcome someone returning to the show. And our discussion, up until we get Kyle Senra on, is the college football mayas. They call it the playoff. And folks, if you ain't been paying attention, it is a mess. And I bet all of y'all, no one will match the opinions of this show when it comes to college football. And this man is one of the reasons why.
Yep.
Passionate.
Come after me. I'm a man. I'm 40.
Unflinching.
Let's go back to losing. Parking was easier.
Unrelenting.
They're not going to keep him off the field tonight.
Totally.
This one has a chance.
Deeds.
That's not just a murmur, that's a full-blown fibrillation.
And here it is. Chris Dietz returns to Snowman in the morning. What up, Dietz?
Open the doors of Valhalla. Dietz has arrived.
What's going on, gentlemen? How we doing?
What up,
DT? How are you? You all right?
I'm doing well. I'm doing,
Good. Thank you. Let me tell y'all about the time I met Dietz. I was in LaPorte, Indiana, and I had just met him. And Dietz said, he didn't ask either. He just said, you need to bring me on your show to talk college football because no one else will say it the way I said it. I slept on it for a night. I got a hold of him and I said, Dietz, you're on. And he says, what day? I said, Thursday's work because that'll take us into the weekend. 8 seasons later, here we still are. I love you, brother, for coming on and just kicking ass with your college football talk. I and the rest of my crew really appreciate you.
Still are, and still coming with the same things that we talked about 8 seasons ago are still going on now. And this is why the college football playoff is just what Snowman said. It's a mess already, and it hasn't even started yet. They haven't even gotten to the 8 teams yet, and they're a mess.
Listen, folks, to people who don't know how Chris and I operate when we talk college football, we don't use the mainstream media's or other independent media's opinions. The opinions that are expressed here are ours. And when we say something and the media finally catches up to us, Dietz, how many times has that happened?
How many times have we made a statement and then 3 weeks later it's on ESPN? This happens constantly. It's going to happen. It's going to happen with this as well. People are not understanding the buzzsaw they're running into because they rushed this playoff. They rushed this expansion. I want people to understand this. I'm not coming on here saying it shouldn't be more teams. There should be as many teams as need to be in the playoff. The problem is there is no core. They have no criteria for what is a playoff team. They have basically said.
Will you say that again, Deep? Will you say that again, please? Will you say that again, please?
There is no criteria to what is a playoff team.
Nope.
A playoff team is committee. Well, what happens? What happens if there's not 8 teams? You know, what happens when there's not 8 teams? When there's clearly 3 teams that are better than everybody else.
Right.
What happens?
Right.
What happens when you have 4 teams that are really good? They happen to be in the same conference.
Yep.
And 2 of those teams play for a conference championship. The other 2 are sitting at home and get to sit at home, watch the other 2 play, and go, "Oh, well, we got in anyway." That's going to happen at some point. I mean, just look at last year. If you had taken the 8 teams to the playoff, Ohio State would have gotten in without playing in the Big Ten championship game.
Right.
Michigan would have had to play. Georgia would have had to play Alabama. I mean, this is what college football is doing to itself. It is murdering itself from the inside out.
Mm-hmm.
The SEC championship game last year that knocked Georgia out and put Alabama in, that doesn't happen in this 18 play. That game happens and it's an exhibition game because no one can. It changes nothing for it. They're both in.
Right.
You know, people can talk about Florida State. You know,
which is what happened 2 years ago. Which is what happened 2 years ago with Georgia and Bama first playing in the SEC championship in Atlanta, and then meeting for the big one in Indianapolis.
Yeah, but the funny thing about that game, about that scenario, about that exact scenario, even worse was a couple of years before that, where Georgia and Alabama were slated to meet each other in the SEC championship game.
Yeah,
Auburn upset Alabama. Upsets Alabama in the Iron Bowl. Auburn wins the Iron Bowl. They go to the SEC championship game. They get steamrolled by Georgia. Georgia steamrolls Auburn.
Oh,
guess who got in the 4th spot? Guess who got the 4th spot in? Alabama. Alabama lost, sat at home, watched Auburn lose, and got in the playoff anyway.
They watched Auburn get killed.
What I'm talking about.
They watched Auburn
get. The regular season has to matter. That's the only thing college football has. The only thing college football has that every other sport does not have is the most meaningful regular season. If you destroy that, you destroy college football.
Let's go back 4 years. And Dietz and I talked about this at length on my show when it was playing out. Let me give you all the Big Ten scenario that not only did Dietz and I call before the season even started, COVID or not, but it nearly played out to the letter and to the second. The 2 teams I am referring to, the Ohio State Buckeyes and the Northwestern Wildcats. Even though it was a shortened season, Deets came on this program when we were talking about college football, and God, I remember that conversation. We were only supposed to have it for 20 minutes. It wound up going an hour. We both said the two teams you need to watch are Ohio State and Northwestern. And people were laughing at us. When December rolled around, Deets, can you please tell me the two teams in 2020 that played for the Big Ten championship in Indianapolis? Can you please answer that question for me?
It was Ohio State, and Northwestern was winning at halftime.
Now, granted, Ohio State came back and won that game 22-10. Can you imagine the tizzy the college football playoff committee would have been in and would have possibly delayed the announcement of the 4-team playoff if Northwestern had beaten Ohio State?
Ooh.
And Northwestern, I swear to God, was 8 minutes away from springing the upset of the season. But then Trey Sermon, who had been running roughshod all day, and he was a replacement starter for Ohio State, got going, and Northwestern just got physically tired. That offensive line overwhelmed them. But I want to present a what-if scenario that I've spoken about before, and I'm going to continue to speak about. What if Northwestern had beaten Ohio State that Saturday in December in Indianapolis? I bet you they would have delayed somehow making the announcement of who's the 4 teams that are in.
Mm-hmm.
Why? And Deeds said it perfectly on that show following the Big Ten title, and I know he's going to repeat it today. Why, you ask? Because no one expected the Northwestern Wildcats in 2020 and 2018, for that matter, to win the West Division. Deets, floor is yours.
The biggest problem, and that was an amazing run by Northwestern, but that's going to be the most amazing thing is when one of those upsets happens in a championship game. What happens to this playoff expansion?
Mm-hmm.
We need to see how they put these teams in, because you have basically said championship Saturday, which is one of the most meaningful and one of the greatest days, because you get the SEC, you get the Big 12 championship at noon, you get the SEC championship at 4, and most important games, they tell us everything that we need to know.
Yep.
What does that tell you when it's an 18 playoff and you know these two teams are already getting in no matter what happens?
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be a terrible look for college football. That's going to be when you make your conference championships meaningless. And this is what happens in college basketball. No one cares about the Sunday, because they know when you know that both teams are getting in.
Say that again.
When this game is over, an hour later, you're going to hear the names. No one cares about the outcome of the game.
But how did it get? Let me ask you this: I never
No
bothered.
one
to
cares
ask you this question. I never bothered to ask you this question, but I'll go ahead and ask it now. Why do you think, especially now with the quote unquote expansion of the college football playoff, why do you think that is?
Why did they expand it?
No, not why did they expand it, but
There's
why
only
do you
one
think-
reason, and it has to. It's straight up cash grab. That's all it is.
Yeah,
That's all they did.
Yeah, it is.
And what they don't understand, and they made this, and it sounds great because the only reason they expanded it to 8 is because this year you had 5 teams worthy in a 14 playoff.
Mm-hmm.
And they said we need to find a way to get that 8th. We need to find a way to not have Florida State go undefeated and not play in the playoff. Well, guess what?
Right.
Florida State was not a championship team this year. They didn't qualify.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you right now, they proved it in the bowl. I mean, the bowl game was a joke, and they showed you what the bowl games are when half the team decided they didn't want to play because this isn't a playoff game, so they didn't want to play. But then they got steamrolled by Georgia. Georgia is what screwed Florida State.
Yeah.
If Georgia wins the SEC championship, Florida State would have made the playoff.
Easy.
But when Alabama beat Georgia, everything Florida State had going for it got thrown out the window.
Mm-hmm. With Texas and
Because
Washington,
Florida State's best win last year was against LSU.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody said, "Oh, Florida State should be in and Alabama should be out." Alabama beat LSU, and LSU was their third best to get in. They didn't get in because other teams beat other good teams, and other teams earned their spot in.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying. That's why you have to say criteria. They have to have a criteria for this. I was thinking about this long and hard. I've thought about this longer and harder than anybody has ever thought about. When you have the playoff, it should not be 18 playoff. It should not be an 18 playoff. It should not be there should be no number to it. It should be, here are the qualifications for making the playoff.
Right.
If you meet these qualifications, certain number of a certain number of losses only, a certain number of wins against premier opponents, conference championships that matter should be taken into it. Those should be the criteria that get you to the playoff. And guess what? If 6 teams make it, then we have a 6-team playoff, and we figure out the playoff with those 6 teams.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't say, all right, well, we have to have 8. So we have to have 8, but there's only 6 that meet these qualifications. Well, we have to take 2 more. Well, who are we going to take? Because once you open that Pandora's box, you start opening it up. And like I said, last year's the perfect example. Ole Miss would have been the 8th team in. Yep. Ole Miss, who was sitting at home watching the SEC championship game, who lost 2 games this year.
Yep.
They're sitting at home. They would have been the 8th team in. Meanwhile, Michigan's playing. Ohio State's Florida State's playing in the ACC championship. Alabama and Georgia are playing each other, and Georgia gets and Ole Miss gets a bye.
Yep.
And they get to sit there and watch people play, and they're still going to get in. That's one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. That's why I'm saying they can't just leave a committee to say we're going to take you hear this all the time. This is what the media will tell you all the time, and you're going to hear it. I'm going to say it right now. You're going to hear this all season long. Well, we're going to take the 8 best teams.
Mm-hmm.
Why? How? How?
And why
What
do they
if there's
keep
9
changing-
best teams? What if there's 10 best teams?
What if they
How
and they
are
keep
you
changing-
distinguishing these things? How are you barreling it down?
Why won't they barrel it down? We know it's a money grab, but why won't they barrel it down?
They won't narrow it down to these games before the games are even played, but before the games are even scheduled. Say we're gonna have, so basically they want to say, all right, the only way I can break this down easy to understand is they want to be able to say this and this bowl game. So they want to say the Rose Bowl's part of the college football playoff. They want to be able to pick the bowl games that are part of it.
Mm-hmm.
If you leave it up to a criteria where you say, hey, we only have 6 teams in, so we only have 3 games that are part of it, or we only have this many. You're not able to say what bowl games are part of the college football playoff. You're not able to project that until the season played, which is how it should be. It should be up to the season should dictate how the playoff works. It should not be predetermined for, we need X amount of teams, because you've seen it way too many times. Some years you're gonna have 8 teams and it's gonna work awesome and it's gonna be great. What about but those years when you only have 3 great teams, or when you have 2 teams that are just leagues better than everybody else? That's the game we want to see. We don't want to see these other games. We don't care about these other games. We want to see that game. Or what about a year where there happens to be? I mean, you're just opening up Pandora's box of, well, why is this team 8? The argument's going to be between 7, 8, and 9. Instead of the argument being against 3, and 4, it's going to be who's 7, 8, and 9 now.
Yeah,
you just open the door, and the thing is, like I've said, it's about college football is about the regular season.
It is
a playoff college football. I mean, it's so new to college football, and we could say, it's been going on for a decade now, plus the BCS, add all that together. I mean, they've been talking about playoff for a long time, but there are hundreds of years of college football without a playoff, where things went crazy. There were crazy debates, but usually it worked itself out in the end. It almost always worked itself out.
1984.
The same thing is going to happen here. The same thing's going to happen here. And I guarantee you, when Snowman knows this, because I was around when the first playoff, they first introduced the 4-team playoff.
2014.
I said, this is going to be this is going to collapse on itself.
And it did.
I said this when it first came out. Snowman knows it, and I'm going to say it about this one. I'm going to say it about this one. It's going to work for the first couple of years. They're going to make sure that it works. They're going to make sure that it works for the first couple of years. But it's going to implode. All of the things that are bubbling up right now they're gonna hit at some point. At some point, they're gonna hit, and we have no idea. Don't know, because they haven't planned this out. They came up with this on a whim. And look, I'm all for all for playoff expansion.
They did.
I'm all for as many teams as you want to put in. Make the teams earn it. Make them earn their playoff spot.
Oh, yeah.
Don't give them a playoff spot. earn your playoff spot. That's the way it should be.
Find the lies. I see no lies. Brandon Dyer says 5 seed has a significant advantage over any other team in the CFP. Do you believe that? If so, why or why not?
Well, it depends on who it depends on how you get to the 5th seed. I mean, like we just said, in a scenario, Ole Miss would have been the 8th seed, and they would have had the best spot in the entire playoff last year because they didn't have to play in Championship Saturday. They would have had, they would have had 2 bye weeks before anybody else played a game.
2 bye weeks.
That's the thing. You can't give that kind of advantage to somebody else. Yeah, they would have 2 bye weeks. That's insane. What I'm saying, there has to be a criteria to this. You have to make
has to be
or the complete nuclear option, which I would not be. I would be okay with, but I guarantee you it'll never happen. Or they'd have to get rid of conference championship. They'd have to get rid of Championship Saturday. They'd have to completely nuke it and say we're not doing this anymore. Whoever, we're just gonna go to the playoff and not worry about conference championships, because you can't have Georgia and Alabama playing each other in a game that doesn't matter to either team a week before they're supposed to go into a college football playoff. That's insane.
It is insane.
You're asking kids to kill themselves for no reason.
When they made the announcement of the expansion from 4 to 12, the first person I called was Chris. The first person I called was Dietz. And I said, Dietz, how do you mess this? You know what? Let me play a clip that a dear friend of mine sent me. And y'all are going to see the screen flip for a couple seconds like that. And I apologize. But here's my question.
How do you fuck that up? How do you fuck that up?
Is what the college football playoff did. Badly. To jump from 4 teams to 12? And take away the significance of the end of the season when games that should matter now don't?
You know, I got a thought on this one, and this may be a little bit of a radical solution.
Go with it.
And I'm going to spin it off of what Dietz said. If we're going to abolish Championship Saturday, why do we even have different divisions to begin with? Make it all one big thing. And then base it off of, again, either criteria or the pure win-loss records.
You said pure. You said pure. You know, listen, Shane, as long as you, Dietz, Victor, and I have taught college football, you gave a solution. That's too much like right. And I hate putting it in that context, but think about it. It's too much like right. Y'all know that.
Yeah, it's the 2 words that are really lacking in sports these days. It's common sense.
Oh, boy.
And the thing
is, say it louder in the back. Common sense.
Go for it, Droid.
And one of the big things you need to look at is look at all these what we consider like minor conferences, like the Mountain West. We consider a minor conference because there's not really much like strength out there. It's mainly because the NCAA is not putting them against tough teams because they're afraid to embarrass those divisions and conferences. And I argue to the NCAA, put them against tough opponents. They're never going to get better. Those conferences are going to stay the same amount of garbage that they currently are if you're never putting them against tough opponents. Like, I want to see New Mexico play, like, let's say, Michigan. I don't care if it's a blowout. They learn.
I'd love to see that. I'd love to see that. It reminds me of the years, the many, many years, and Deets, you'll love this memory. It reminds me of the many, many years that Nevada, Las Vegas, and Jerry Tarkanian ruled the Big West Conference, especially when no one expected anyone else or UNLV themselves to come out of the Big West and beat a team like Duke from the ACC or Michigan from the Big Ten. Of course, I'm referring to 1989 and 90. That kind of is it that kind of view, Deets?
I mean that's so tough because those we all know those running Rebel teams were stacked.
Yes,
they were not your typical they were not your typical mid-major UNLV.
No, they were not.
Larry Johnson, they were kind of pretty good. They kind of
knew this. So they kind of knew this thing about basketball, did they?
Yeah, but it translates to the point. I mean, smaller conferences are not even relevant. And I mean, you brought up the Mountain West. I mean, the MAC conference is basically going to be useless.
It is.
Who's going to care about the Metro Atlantic Conference in college football? No one's going to care about playing. No one's going to care about playing Northern Illinois. Like, but here's the thing about what Shane. I want to get back to what Shane said about the thing about these about conferences is they've gotten too big. Every conference conferences have expanded. And it's ridiculous. The SEC has 18 teams in it. 18 teams are in the SEC next year.
Yikes.
There's only 12 weeks of college football. I mean, again, common sense. You can't play everybody. That's why I've always said, Snowman knows this, my solution to college football has always been cap conferences at 10 teams. That way you don't need Championship Saturday. Championship Saturday is irrelevant. It can basically be the first round of the playoff because guess what? All 9 teams are going to play each other during the year and we sort it out on the field. It gets sorted out on the field in live action. We settle it. And every team gets to play each other. Boom.
It seems like it's a case of eyes being bigger than the stomach.
No, go ahead, Vic.
It seems like it's a case of the eyes being bigger than the stomach. Like having, like you said, 18 teams, only 12 weeks of actual playtime. That's not enough. That's too many. That's too much.
It is.
And so then you have to put in different parameters as to what's going to constitute as who needs to be in the playoff and who doesn't.
And another big thing is like the names don't even make sense anymore. The Big Ten, it doesn't even have 10 teams. The Big 12 doesn't even have 12 teams.
No, hold on. The names don't even make sense. I got one for you. The Atlantic Coast Conference. And the new edition of Stanford.
Right.
Excuse me. Stanford is playing in the ACC.
Yep. Where's Oregon?
Does anyone see a problem there?
Oregon's what, in the Big 12 now? Where's Oregon?
Oregon's in the Big 10.
Oregon's in the Big 10.
Oregon's in the Big 10? Oh, my God.
Oregon's going to the Big 10 with Washington, USC, and UCLA.
Oh God.
The Big Ten is the Big Ten's the same way. There's like 21 teams in the Big Ten next year.
And this all started for me the first time I remember like this kind of conference jumping. And thank you, Sig Diggy. What in the all types of blue hell? Man, where's that? Where is that sound? I need that sound right now because all I can think of and all we can think of as college football fans and purists is
what in the all types of blue hell
are these schools thinking? The Pac-10 is dead. The ACC is going to implode. You already got two super conferences with the SEC and the Big 20. You can't say Big 10 anymore. That all started, and it pissed me off then when Penn State joined the Big 10 in 1994. Then Rutgers shows up. What the hell is Rutgers, who plays out in New Jersey, doing in the Big 10? What's wrong with this picture?
Too much.
What is wrong? What is wrong with this picture? The Southwest Conference, what's that other one? And the Big 8 both imploded on its own. And then all of a sudden the Big 12 shows up in 1996. Tell me what's wrong with that picture. Tell me what.
We all know what brought that. We all know what brought that on. And that goes back to the Pony Excess. That goes back to the Pony Excess.
Pony Excess, and because that is a great title.
If SMU never, I mean, they did what they did, but if they don't get the death penalty, the Big 8 conference doesn't break up.
True,
because they're not, they're now a viable conference because you're looking at them. They have 8 good teams, and Arkansas is not going to leave, and that was the domino effect of that conference dying. Was the death penalty to SMU was the catalyst for all of that.
Mm-hmm. And then 8 years later,
even to get back to college, I mean, we've only scratched the surface of so the selection of these teams is going to be a joke. Here's the rub, and here's what everybody needs to understand. And going into this, and here's the biggest problem. You get more parity. You're going to get more champions. I want you to do your homework before you make those statements. Go look at the FCS. The FCS has done a playoff for, I think, about 30 years.
Yeah.
Okay. They have had repeat champions more times than they've had different champions. The state has been in 4 championship games in a row.
Yeah.
This is what's going to happen in college football. You're going to see this happen in Division I, where you're going to see the same teams playing in the championship year in, year out. You're going to have the same. It's going to come down to the same 4 teams each and every year, and people are going to. That's when it's going to get to. We need a new system. This is gonna happen because the system is designed. I told you the quote. It's by design. It's not by accident. It's by design. This playoff is not designed to get more teams in. It's designed to have the teams they want at the end. They want the Alabamas. They want the Georgias. They want the Michigans. They want the Ohio States. Those are the teams they want in. That's why they expanded this. They didn't expand it to get Cincinnati in there. They didn't expand it to get BYU to play in a playoff. They expanded it that the championships so that when it gets down to the Final Four, it's 4 big name schools, and that's it.
That's it. Yeah.
That's what it's gonna be.
Yep.
They want the sexy matchups, not the ones that they're actually truly deserve.
Yeah, not the ones that matter. We're up against the break. Dietz joins us, and he will return every Thursday at the bottom of hour 1. Love you, Dietz, so very much. Thanks for coming on. And next week we'll expand on this conversation of why the playoff is by design. The purpose is by design and not to get the best teams in. We'll continue that next week. Thank you, Dietz. Appreciate you, brother.
Thanks, guys.
Passionate.
Come after me. I'm a man. I'm 40.
Unflinching.
Let's go back to losing. Parking was easier.
Unrelenting.
They're not going to keep him off the field tonight.
Totally.
This one has a chance.
Dietz.
That's not just a murmur, that's a full-blown fibrillation.
It is indeed a full-blown fibrillation. And thank you to the late, great Keith Jackson for that line. And if y'all remember the year where that came from, it was 1995. It's 1995 before the Northwestern Wildcats were set to host the Penn State Nittany Lions. Damn. Such memories. Let's take a break. When we come back, Kyle Senra will join us, and Senra says his top 10 fantasy football running backs. Give you a guess as to who number 1 is. Back in a flash.
This is Snowman in the Morning.
Join Ryan McCarthy.
I became a Jets fan because Kermit the Frog was my favorite Muppet because he was green, and the Jets wore green. That's how I became a Jets fan.
And Dustin Henry.
ESPN is cashing all in on let's pay a few personalities and we'll just kind of fill in the gaps.
As they walk you through all of the world of sports from their perspective.
The Albany Empire, it's a literal circus.
No credentials required. Where, Ryan, say the tag.
Where you don't need a press pass to talk sports.
Live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central on YouTube and where you can find podcasts. Sports bettors, listen up. Your favorite sportsbook, BetUS.com, is back and in our 30th year of action. With live in-game betting, incredible odds with daily odds boosters, props and parlays, fast payouts, and exceptional one-to-one customer service, we got it all. And when you sign up today and use the code SNOWMAN, you will get a 125% deposit match on your deposit. Log on to BETUS.com or call 800-792-3887. That's 800-79-BET-US. BetUS.com, where the game begins. Join the transporter to Hades.
Your butt and gut becomes one.
Join the reformer of hooker whores.
This is my daughter, Placenta Booty Johnson.
Join the bronze car.
And ever you are in distress, take off your baseball cap and throw it in the air.
Join your very own superhero of broadcasting, Chris Bass.
So whatever color crayon they get, they palm it and do 2 circles, and that translates to, I can beat up black people.
As he takes you through the week's paces in Baseline. Live every Saturday at 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Central, Pacific Time Zone people, just stay asleep when this is on live and just catch the recording. Oh, I'm sorry. Exclusively on the Chris Bass YouTube channel.
Eva Marie smoked 12,000 packs of cigarettes over 15 years. She quit, and now there's a new lung cancer screening that could save her life. You stopped smoking. Now start screening. No matter how much you smoked, early detection could save you. Talk to your doctor or learn more at savedbythescan.org.
Drew Willingham.
In this case, yeah, you put the blame on Kyle Shanahan for apparently not preparing the team enough for the overtime rules, supposedly.
Cole Johnson.
Peyton was considered the winner, and he was the darling of all darlings for Gerald.
With a special appearance by Tyrone Alizé McDummy.
Ain't nobody calling me. Text. Delete! 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 Delete!
Join these two football enthusiasts as they give you Total Football Talk. Live every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central on the Sertoba Media and the Comey Media YouTube channels. Whether it's news, the largest egg producer finds bird flu in chickens at a Texas plant, weather, devastating tornadoes rip through the heart of the United States, inspiration, a breast cancer survivor completed the journey of chemotherapy, and now begins a future one of matrimony or sports. Michael Jordan is shown on a photo with Diddy. LeBron James has a video extolling the virtues of a Diddy party. This has been yet another Beating a Dead Horse presentation. We got you covered. BS3 Network proudly presents The Morning Shift with Cole Johnson. Live every weekday morning beginning April 29th at 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Central. Hey, Eagles fan. Join my man Cool McCain and a host of others as they break down every single game, every single week in an objective manner, and also from a fan's perspective as well. Remember, this cast feels just like you. Nobody likes you. And you don't care. Fly, Eagles, fly. Eagles Elite Podcast. Every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on YouTube and other podcast outlets.
Mister, how do you operate this Twitter thing or this Instagram thing or whatever the heck? You're supposed to know all this stuff. Anyway, welcome back to the show.
Boy, I timed that one right. 38 after the hour. And yeah. Don't ask me how I timed that right, because as soon as I pushed the button for the commercials, I ran the hell up out of here. Because me and my stomach had a fight. I'm better now. I'll go back to a question that we talked about earlier. Why are they still disrespecting Brock Purdy? It's one of the things we led off with this morning, and we kind of got in depth, and then we had Deets on for a while.
So it's a three-step process. One, new and unknown. Even now, they're gonna say, well, he's new, he's unknown. The second is gonna be, well, what has he done? Yeah, he got to the NFC Championship, but he didn't win the Super Bowl. They're going to use that. And then lastly, let's be honest, it's a lot of envy. Because everybody got their favorites. Everybody's got Tom Brady when he was in there, Aaron Rodgers, when he can actually stand on his legs.
Right.
I mean, Bears had Justin Fields, Cowboys got Dak Prescott. Everyone's got their favorite that they say this guy should be in the forefront of the top. All Brock Purdy can do is what he's been doing, which is win.
He's been one of the best game managers, quote unquote, that we've seen in a long time.
And that's really what football is. Football is a game management sport.
It is.
It's 60 minutes.
It is. It is. Speaking of which, let's close this up right and talk some football here on this Thursday. And you'll see this repeated on a Friday. Kyle Senra joins us to talk some running backs in fantasy football. Welcome, Kyle.
Hey, guys. Glad to be on. Thanks for having me.
Okay. When I said, Kyle, I want to bring you on Thursday mornings, and he asked me, okay, which fantasy list do you want to do first, since now all my redrafts are done? I said dealer's choice. So the hand he dealt me was full of spades. Running backs. Gonna rank our top 10 running backs, and Kyle's gonna give you the lowdown when the name comes up. Let's start at number 10, and we go down to Houston with Joe Mixon from the Houston Texans.
I mean, if you told me the news of, okay, Mixon would get cut and then not cut and traded, like that would have probably, from the Bengals, like that would really hurt him. Like, who would he land with? What type of offense? Probably ended up in one of the best landing spots that he could have gone if he was leaving the Bengals. The Houston Texans seem like they're almost just as potent of an offense as the Bengals are going to be this year. A lot of potential to have high-scoring games, not have drives end early. Like, he'll have good touchdown upside as well. And they really haven't done too much else at running back. They lost Devin Singletary, essentially replacing him with Joe Mixon. Damian Pierce still on the team, but they seem more excited about him as a kick returner than anything else. And then they took a late swing, I think it was a 5th round, maybe 6th round, on Jawar Jordan, who I like decently as a prospect, but it does seem like Mixon, like the key thing here is just opportunity, which was, again, what made him so great in fantasy in Cincinnati. He wasn't very efficient, but he was just getting a lot of touches. And he's not someone who gets injured all that often, so he can just handle, maybe not 350 carries, but certainly potentially upward of 300 carries. And again, in such a good offense, how many snaps he plays on third down as a pass catcher, that remains to be seen. The Bengals were kind of limiting that actually towards the end of his career. They just had to get Samaje Perine on third down. That just had to be a thing. Funny. That's another 2017 rookie running back Mixon in that class, the same class as Perine. I feel like Mixon landed pretty well, enough that I'm still willing to rank him as a top 10, if not just inside the top 10, but he is my number 10.
We're getting started here. Let's go to New Orleans for number 9. Of course, you have Alvin Kamara.
Hey, look at that. Another 2017 running back. And guess what, folks? We're not done talking about them yet.
We're not.
I mean, Aaron Jones just missed the top 10 as well. So that would have been another 2017 guy. I mean, we knew it was such a great class. And it's every year seems to continue to amaze us how long these guys hang around. Points per game wise, Alvin Kamara finished as an RB1 last year, especially in full point PPR rankings. I would actually go even higher, say he maybe should be RB7, maybe even 6. Kind of did this for neutral, like half PPR way to look at it. But, regardless of the pass catching, Kamara still has good touchdown upside. He's been a great touchdown producer his whole career. And it's not like Derek Carr is going to come there and just magically, okay, I'm the one that's going to throw 50 touchdowns and nothing goes to Kamara. Jamal Williams, the previous year with Detroit, in 2022, had such a great touchdown season, so everyone was wondering last year if that would eat into Kamara's work. No, I'm pretty sure Williams had 1 touchdown. So to me, Kamara is still the goal line back. So there's good pass catching upside, because we talk about the Texans not really doing much at running back. The Saints really didn't do anything at receiver. I mean, they cut Michael Thomas, and he's played the last 4 years. That basically is meaningless. Like, that doesn't really change very much. But they really haven't brought anyone in there. I know they're banking on Rashid Shaheed taking the step up in his 3rd year, and it looks like he is pretty trenched in as the wide receiver 2 on the team. But I still think Kamara is going to be second on the team in receptions and targets. He seems like he's locked in for that role, locked in for a good goal line role as well. Derek Carr, while not great, it's not like CJ Stroud, but good enough to at least have the offense operate and not fall apart every time. So that still means I think Kamara can actualize that touchdown upside. So I'm pretty excited to draft him.
To Baltimore we go for number 8. Big addition to their offense, and King Derrick Henry.
Yeah, and so this would be a good example of a guy that would, I think, jump Derrick Henry if we're talking full PPR relative to half PPR, because Henry, Yeah, he's never really caught many passes his whole career, and he goes to a team that really won't throw a lot of passes, specifically not towards the running backs at all. So luckily that doesn't affect Henry. It's all just about the amount of carries he can absorb and the immense touchdown upside. There is one misconception about Lamar Jackson as well. Everyone worries about, with rushing quarterbacks taking touchdowns away from the running backs. The truth is, Lamar Jackson does not run very much in the red zone. He's really good at throwing, actually, in the red zone. But typically, his touchdowns come from distance. So when it gets inside the 5 and close, if they're running the football, Derrick Henry's going to get every single touch. So crazy good touchdown upside here, more so than Kamara. I like Derrick Henry in this new landing spot with the Ravens.
Speaking of new landing spots, let's go to Philadelphia for number 7 with Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, and again, the same thing I just said. This would be another guy where I might be a little concerned, actually, with Barkley with the pass catching, just because of where he ended up. Now, he has traditionally been, like, part of his value, really a good chunk of his value, is his ability to catch the ball. So, which is why some might even say this is too low for Barkley. I almost think this is like at the peak ceiling, though. I would even consider going lower with him, just because I'm concerned that he won't catch many passes with the Eagles, not like he's used to seeing. To be fair, we saw it with DeAndre Swift. I think he played the most games he'd ever played in his career last season, and he had a career low in catches and targets. The Eagles, they don't really need to throw to the running back because they've got 2 excellent wide receivers that teams are going to – it'll be really hard to double team both Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, which means one of them will often be in one-on-one coverage, or they'll be against a zone, and they both do really well in that area. So most of Hurts' targets go to one of those 2, and it's really if things break down, Hurts can still run. He can still also dump off to Dallas Goedert. I think Barkley's going to be great. Some really good touchdown upside there as well, although this is an example of a quarterback that will take the goal line work away because he's the one who runs a lot short yardage and in the red zone. That's where the touchdown upside could be hurt. But this is also the best offense Barkley's ever been on, the best offensive line Barkley's ever been on. So his ability to break off the long runs, which alongside his pass catching, those have been the 2 big things, his breakaway speed and the big play ability, and then the receptions. So those are the 2 main parts of his fantasy value over his career. So this could be a time to, while it might hurt in one area with the receptions, he might have some of his biggest play explosion rate this season that he has his whole career, at least probably since his rookie season when he came onto the scene. So could expect a great year for Barkley in that. So I still like him as a top 10 running back, while I am concerned with the role on the team.
At 6, let's go to Detroit. We find Jahmyr Gibbs.
So this really does look like a split backfield where David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs got enough touches. But what we saw last year was and we actually saw this the previous season, there's so much touchdown upside for the running backs that even if you split it between Gibbs and David Montgomery, that still leaves a lot for Jahmyr Gibbs. And I'm not really worried about his pass catching role because the Lions, much like a team we talked about, like the Texans not adding much to the running back room, the Lions really didn't do much to add to receiver at all this year. They've got Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta. Those are locked in as the top 2 targets on the team. I'd expect Gibbs to be 3rd on the team in pass catching. Jamison Williams really hasn't shown enough over his career to say that he's drawing targets at any significant rate. You might have Donovan Peoples-Jones as the wide receiver too. So that tells me that there's going to be a lot of reception chances for Jahmyr Gibbs. So the pass catching upside's there, the touchdown upside's there. It's a fantastic offense. And I'm Packers fans. I hate to admit that, but the Lions are pretty good, unfortunately. I'm all in that. What Jahmyr Gibbs last year didn't seem like a fluke to me. He had a lot of touchdowns. I think he had 13. But based on his yards per game, you'd expect a double-digit touchdown season. So I don't think it was – you might not hit 13 like he did last year, but 11 I think is a reasonable projection for Gibbs in terms of touchdowns. And you get a double-digit touchdown guy that's expected to catch that many passes, I'm all in. So, yeah, I love Gibbs.
All right, let's go down to Miami. Number 5, Devon Achane, the speedster from Texas A&M.
And we can talk about the rankings changes, full PPR to half PPR. If it was full point per reception, Gibbs would probably even be higher. Because with Achane, the reason I like him more in half PPR, in my touchdown projections, I think there's only one running back that truly has more touchdown upside than Achane. He showed incredible efficiency last year. He didn't play every game, but in the games he did play, his touchdowns per game and also the yards he was producing per game were quite impressive. We talk about Saquon Barkley's breakaway speed, explosive playability. I mean, that's all Achane. I loved him as a prospect last year. I thought he was one of the 3 best guys in the draft, and he certainly showcased that skill set. He had, I think, the biggest fantasy football week of any player last year. Denver Broncos defense, very generous unit. Yeah, Achane, he's almost got the most upside of any running back on any given week. His floor might not be as safe as a lot of these other guys, but in a single quarterback league, you're talking the back end of the first round where I get an early second. I'm willing to take Achane there, and oftentimes you can get him in the second round. So you've already got your one established player. If you're going 2 running backs early, you get a really great safe running back in the first round and go right away with upside shot on Achane. I feel like I can build a good wide receiver room in the rest of the positions around that.
Yeah.
If you're going with an early receiver and you want to just, okay, I've got my safe early receiver, my RB1, I'm going to shoot for the moon on Achane. I think he also makes a lot of sense. So even more than Gibbs, I'm willing to go all in on Achane in 2024.
At number 4, we go to Indianapolis, Indiana, and we find Jonathan Taylor.
This top 4 tier, I really struggle with, especially 2 through 4, because I think you can, those 3 guys, especially, you can rank them in any order. We've seen Jonathan Taylor be the RB1 overall in a season before. Now, he's got that upside. That was a season, though, let's be frank, where Christian McCaffrey, the reigning RB1 before that, was injured. So the threshold for what it took to be the RB1 in 2021 wasn't as high as we've seen necessarily in recent seasons. But he's still shown that capacity to be that 22 to 25 point per game player in full point per reception. So Taylor's shown that before. I think this Colts offense really will get their strength through the run game. Whether it's Anthony Richardson or Jonathan Taylor, I think there's a ton of touchdown upside for both on the ground. And the passing game will be not so much an afterthought, but it'll certainly play second fiddle to the run game. So I think there's, even with Anthony Richardson there, I think there's enough rushing opportunities for Taylor that, to me, I'd still lock him in as a first round pick in single quarterback leagues and a second round pick in super flex leagues. And that's really where you get into this top 4. Those are the guys that are always going to go in that. Again, first round in 1 QB, second round in 2 QB.
Let's go to Atlanta for number 3, Bijan Robinson in the second year out of Texas.
Yeah, this is all about the promise. Last year didn't quite go as well as people expected. I mean, some people were drafting him in the first round of redraft leagues last year. It's the talent. It's a lot of people believe this is the best running back prospect we've ever seen, or certainly seen since probably Barkley, because that was a lot of hype when Barkley came out. And we didn't quite get it, but I think everyone has laid the blame on Arthur Smith. And now with the new changes in head coach and new offense coming in, the coaches, I think Zach Robinson's now the offense coordinator. He's talked about, seemingly not being a huge fan of splitting Bijan and Tyler Algier as much as the previous regime did. So I think we could really expect this breakout season from Bijan Robinson, all the promise he's delivered. Again, another guy I've projected for double-digit touchdowns. And it's again, go with the young prospects that you truly believe in. As much as I like Achane, as much as I like Gibbs, I really do believe Bijan's better, and I think this is the year he shows it.
We go down to our top 2, and we go to the Meadowlands for a little Breece Lightning and Breece Hall.
And so I've been doing a running back scouting with my methodology that I have been since that 2020 class, and that's the Jonathan Taylor, Clyde Edwards-Helaire class. Now I guess that's 5 seasons I've done it. The 3 highest scores are Bijan, Breece Hall, and the highest overall score is Ken Walker. I'm just a huge Ken Walker fan, but unfortunately the Seahawks aren't, because they like us add Jack Charbonnet there. Let's take away some. Why he unfortunately not going to talk about Ken Walker in the top 10, but all to say, Breece Hall I think is almost as good as Bijan in terms of that level of a prospect. The one difference, though, is we've seen Bijan make difference-making production in the NFL and be that true potential RB1. I think if anyone's going to take the crown away from the guy who's at the top, I think Breece Hall has the best chance. And like a few other teams I mentioned, like specifically Alvin Kamara, I think it's a very similar situation where I think Breece Hall's locked in to be second on the team in targets, especially with Rodgers coming off the Achilles tear. I imagine he'll scramble less. So that means maybe a more abundance of dump-off opportunities to the running back. And I think Rodgers is okay with that, knowing that it's Breece Hall. This is an explosive pass catcher, probably the second best pass catcher on the team. So the dump-off isn't just like a sign of weakness or admitting defeat. It's this: we want to get this guy the ball. Kind of like he did with Aaron Jones, only to an even higher degree. he looked great coming off the ACL tear last year. So now that it's going to be like when September kicks off, it's going to be, I think, basically 23 months since the ACL tear. So at this point, I think we can expect Breece Hall to be back to 100%. And if he wasn't 100% last year, he still showed really well. The sky could be the limit for him, and he could have even better season this year. So I expect, unlike Kamara, though, he's going to be a lot more efficient on the ground.
Right.
And not just and have good touchdown upside, but also efficiency, yards per attempt, and the chance at explosive plays. He's kind of the best of all the worlds of archetypes we've talked about. The Kamara pass catcher, the Devon A-chain, and the Barkley explosiveness. I think Breece Hall's the guy that puts that all together, which is why he's my RB2 and my RB1 in Dynasty.
And at the top of the pile, we go to Northern California and find the person who I believe should have been the most valuable player last year, Run CMC and Christian McCaffrey.
I mean, to be fair, I think he won a lot of most valuable fantasy player awards. So maybe showing the fantasy community knows more what's going on than the actual NFL media community.
Right.
But I mean, this is undeniable. You talk about the complete package. He has it all. The most touchdown upside of any of these running backs. He's got the most pass catching running upside of anyone. He has the single season record for receptions in a season. And he's got it on a team that, even though the 49ers have other talented running backs, they've shown they're going to rely on him and give him a lot of work. And unlike in Carolina, where they gave him every touch and he was the RB1 for fantasy, Carolina, a lot of those games where they were doing that, they weren't winning. And they were a bad team. The 49ers have proved they can win with that formula and get all the way to the Super Bowl, potentially even win it this year. So I expect them to continue because it didn't seem like McCaffrey was worn down in the Super Bowl. All the carries he got all the season that's the reason they lost that Super Bowl. I wouldn't say that at all. He did have the one fumble, not something that happens often. So I could see the 49ers just going back to, okay, we can trust him. He was durable. We've got a good offensive line to protect him as well. And they're still going to be willing to give him most of the touches, most of the third down work, most of the goal line carries. And that's a team that scores enough touchdowns and gets enough red zone opportunities, even if he doesn't get every goal line touch. If Elijah Mitchell or someone else, one of the other depth running backs, vultures a touchdown here or there, you still maybe get McCaffrey to have one or two in a game. Whereas if a lead back gets vultured for a touchdown once or twice, that's usually it. Like, okay, those were their opportunities. They didn't get them. With McCaffrey, you can almost always count on the 49ers being in scoring position. So not only do I have him as the RB1, I think in single quarterback formats, he should be the first player off the board. Even in the Superflex two quarterback formats, he really is pushed up early into the the top 5 potentially, ahead of a lot of quarterbacks, which I would normally go with. But McCaffrey's just so safe and so much upside, and you rarely ever get that in a fantasy player that you feel great about. And I'm all in to run it back again with McCaffrey as the RB1.
Those are your fantasy football top 10 running backs. And it's from this man, Kyle Senra, who will join us every week with his rankings and all kinds of fantasy football talk here on the program. It's a joy to have you, my friend, each and every week. We've been doing this for a few years now. I hope to continue this relationship and our friendship for a very, very long time. Thank you, brother. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Snowman, and likewise.
Oh, what a list!
I know, right?
And look at the top 2: Breece Lightning and CMC, and they get to face each other on Monday Night Football to open the damn season. Damn it!
It's gonna be a papa that night.
What if both of them get 200 yards?
Fantasy football is gonna go popping this year.
What if they both get 200 yards that night? Because I fully expect McCaffrey to get 200.
Well, the big thing with CMC is he was hurting towards the end of the year. He's going to have to make sure he stays 100%, throughout the entire season in order to have that huge upside.
Mm-hmm.
And the way he runs, that's going to be a tall task.
Yeah.
Because, he's not exactly your east-west runner. He's not afraid to bang it inside. So he's got to be able to stay healthy the entire season to be able to be beneficial. He did his job last year, and look where you guys ended up. But he's got to be able to stay 100% healthy And you and I saw it towards the end of the season. He was working on his legs a lot on the sidelines.
Yeah, his legs and his hamstring, and I think there was another injury that he was working on. We saw that when we did the game against Washington. He
Shoulder,
didn't play
I think.
Yeah, he didn't play against the Rams, so that he got that week off and had a little time to recover. But I think he's going to come in even better shape.
Yeah,
and he's going to come in with a lot more to prove, because just as the NFL hates Brock Purdy, they hate Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, they do.
Christian McCaffrey was one that they wrote off a while back, and now that he's made a renaissance himself.
Even after the trade to San Francisco, they wrote off Christian McCaffrey. They wrote him off.
Yep.
Big mistake.
Yeah, because of all the injuries that he had. But
that's a big, huge mistake, man.
Because of all the injuries he had, but there's a big difference. Carolina did not, move and shake their team to benefit him.
Right. Absolutely right. All right, we better get the hell out of here. Thank you, gentlemen, so much. I love you guys so much. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Tomorrow is a Football Friday, and you'll see a replay of a conversation I had with the lovely Deb Whitkus as she shot me her 10 favorite games that she's going to watch this year. 3 of them contain my 49ers. That's all I got to say. Have a great day. God bless. Remember to make your next move your best move. And always remember, if your dreams don't scare you, they are simply not big enough. Dream big, do bigger. We are, and we hope y'all are too. Tomorrow's a Football Friday and a few other shenanigans. So long, everybody. I told you I've been a little busy. Adios, amigos.